Hey everybody, hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going to do the full review of the Malkoff Bodyguard tactical flashlight. I love this little light. I want to go ahead and say that because I know some people don't watch all the video or the entire video. This is highly recommended to anyone that's looking for a tactical flashlight. Seriously, I've owned every brand of flashlight. I've owned Surefire, Streamlight, Phoenix, Through Night, you name it, I've about owned it. I've tested it. This is one of the toughest lights that I've ever held in my hand, and it's one of the best feeling lights I've ever held in my hand. Jean's Malkoff's wife is calling this the stacked donut texture, and then it has this ring right here on the end, and that really locks that in your hand, even without that ring, because you can run this flashlight without this ring if you choose to. That stacked donut texture is so grippy. I mean, it is. I have a Surefire E1B that I actually have a Malkoff head on. Actually, it was brighter, so I put a Malkoff head on it, and then I sold the Surefire head. But this texture right here blows that out of the water. Just for locking that in your hand, it's amazing. So I wanted to get that out of the way. Highly recommended. If you're looking for one, I'll link Malkoff in the description. Head over and get it if you don't watch the whole video. Highly recommended. I do know they're sold out. They may have some more up by now, but they were sold out. I think they only had like 10 for sale when I got this one for review, and they sold out very quickly. Some of my subscribers got these. I appreciate y'all supporting Malkoff and buying a great product, but everyone that I've talked to that bought one of these has loved it so far. So let's get on with the review. I want to tell you, please watch to the end of the video, and the reason I say that is I'm going to put my testing at the end of the video. Now, I won't put all of it because I actually tested this light to see how long it would run. Run time for a lithium battery and a primary CR123. So, you know, I got over an hour run time on them. We'll get into that here in a minute, but I'm not going to put an hour's worth of just sitting there watching the light burn, you know, just leaving it sitting there, you know, on the end, because nobody wants to watch over, you know, 2 or 3 hours worth of video of just a light just sitting there burning. So I'll probably just put up like the last 10 or 15 seconds till it burns out to show you that I actually left it on until it burnt completely out. I did drop this thing several times, and one time is pretty amazing, and I want you all to see it, but I dropped this thing off the roof of my house, and it was probably 26 or 27 feet. I just kind of tossed it, left it on, it hit the ground, I picked it up, it was still burning. As you can see here, this is the one I did. There are nicks in this where I threw it on the concrete, I've dropped it on the concrete, I've tossed it across the concrete. So I actually got sent 2 heads. I beat one up and then tested one for run time and stuff like that and functionality. So this was my beater head that I just, you know, threw on the concrete, tossed across the concrete. I submerged this in water for over 5 minutes, and it run flawlessly, no big deal. Left it on the whole time it was in there. Threw it, like I said, 26, 27 feet off the top of my house onto the ground. I just threw this thing through the air at night. I tested this light. I mean, I beat this light up, and I carried this thing every single day. And I know this is a tactical use light, but we'll get into how it steps down in modes. And when you get down to that 10 seconds into the light, it actually has a lot of functionality just for EDC as well. It's just that first 10 seconds that's very bright. So when I get into this, I want to tell you some of the specs on this to start with. I do have sheets in front of me that I'll be reading off of because I can't remember all this stuff. So I will be reading this off of Malkoff's website, and then we'll get into my review and the stuff I did. I told you a little bit about it, but we'll get more in depth into it, and I'll show you some features and stuff about it whenever we talk about it then. But right now, I'd like to just read some of the stuff off this. It's hard anodized black MDC Bodyguard flashlight. That's the name of it. It's a MDC Bodyguard. The flashlight is tactical use only, but like I said, once that initial 10-second brightness goes through and it steps down to the next one, it has a lot of EDC use functionality as well. The flashlight with a tactical use only flashlight with up to 600 lumens. out the front depending on the battery configuration. Now, I did run the IMR, what is this, a 16 340, or sorry, 16, yeah, 340 lithium battery. I did run that most of the time, and that's when you get your 600 lumens, I will tell you that. The 1CR123 body has a black Type 3 hard anodized finish and a protruding tail cap. I do want to show you this. Most of them, actually most Malkoff handheld flashlights, I've never owned their bigger stuff, but their handheld stuff and like their EDC flashlights have a tail cap that recesses down in it. You can see the tail cap there, but it recesses into the body. This one does not. The tactical light actually sticks out, so you can actually get a hold of the button easier, and you don't have to try to find it or hope you hit it or get your hand inside it. It's more ease of use on the tail cap. Let's see here, and a clicky forward clicking latching switch. As you can see here, it does have a constant on that clicks. The head is fully potted and uses a TIR optic for a good balance spot and spill. The LED is cool white 6200K Cree XPL. I do like cool white lights. Even in my EDC lights, I prefer cool white, just the brighter light. That's just me. Some people prefer the other neutral tint because it gives them a better, I guess, color. When you point it at something, it brings the color out in it better. But I prefer cool white. That's just personal preference. Next is it supports a primary CR123 lithium battery or rechargeable lithium ion, like we just said there. And I have the rechargeable here. I have a primary in it because I used the primary when I threw it off the house because, you know, I've read and stuff, I've never had this happen, but you can actually mess up a rechargeable battery with impact. So I wanted to give the light a fighting chance, so I stuck a primary in it. And I went through several primary batteries testing, you know, just run time and just everything, just testing the light in general. I've had this light probably a week or a little more, maybe a little more than a week. And I've been testing it the whole time and carrying it the whole time. So I've went through a couple of primaries, and I've had to recharge the lithium a few times as well. The IMR type high drain battery is recommended, and that's what this is, an IMR battery. And you can purchase the batteries and chargers directly on their website, on Malkoff's website, in the battery and charger section of the web store. So let's get on with the lumens a little bit of this. If you run a CR123, your lumens will be 450 lumens out the front as soon as you hit it. Then it drops down to 375 lumens and stays there for 10 seconds. After that, it drops down to 150 lumens. And that's what I was talking about, the 10-second runtime. If you let this drop down at 10 seconds and then get down to 150 lumens, that is very user-friendly on an EDC roll. 150 lumens is a very usable amount of lumens in an EDC. Walking the dog or whatever it is you need to be doing, 150 lumens is a good output for that. Now, if you run a IMR 16340, you get 600 lumens on that initial burst. Then you get 550 lumens. You know, it only drops 50 lumens then for the 10 seconds. And after 10 seconds, it still drops down to the 150 mark. So even if you're running an IMR rechargeable, you still get that same 150 lumen, very usable EDC light after the 10 seconds. The flashlight is protected from reverse polarity. And let's see here. And I'll get into battery life now. I'll go ahead and get into that. The battery life is dependent on the amount of high output you utilize. Okay, now when I tested battery life, I didn't do this, and just run that 10 seconds. I turned it on and let it sit down and let it run just to see how long it would take the battery to die. So the light will pull 2+ amps on the high output. Now, Malkoff had originally put down a spec of what he thought the light should run. I contacted him since he sent me the light for review and to test and see about it, and I think he has since changed that on his website since my findings. On a lithium battery in this light, just turning it on and letting it run, I got 1 hour and 7 minutes runtime out of this. Now, like I said, I wasn't just holding it for 10 seconds, letting it drop, holding it for 10 seconds, letting it drop. I turned it on, set it down on the top of an ammo can because I didn't know how hot it would get just sitting there running. And I was not expecting that. And I will say that Gene was not expecting that. It surpassed both our expectations. This is a great little light, and it just keeps on amazing us both, I think. But I did get an hour and 7 minutes, and the head on the rechargeable only got to 97 degrees. I have a little heat gun, or not heat gun, but no temperature gun that I can just shine on this, and it got to 97 degrees is all it got on the rechargeable battery. And that was after like 45 minutes to an hour. Now, I will say it stepped down just a little bit towards the end before it went out. You could still use that, but it got dimmer. So that's to be expected. As the battery goes dead, you're going to get less, light out the front, lumens out the front. And that's with all flashlight, not just with this, but that was towards the end. With a primary battery, I got an hour and 45 minutes runtime out of this light before it went dead. Now, it did get a lot hotter. It was really drawing some power out of that thing. It got to 130 degrees. That's what the head got to. Now, that got a little hot, but that ran a very long time. And in the video, when I went back and watched it, I kind of scanned through it kind of quick. I didn't watch all hour and 30 minutes of just the light sitting there running, but it did look like it dropped down a couple of times. It looked like it dropped down a little bit, like from 150 it might drop down to like 100 or 90, and then it looked like it dropped down again, maybe to like, I don't have a way to measure lumens, I'm just guessing, but maybe 50 or 60 lumens, and then it went out. But it did look like it dropped a couple of times, but it did stay running for an hour and 45 minutes. I mean, that's just amazing. Out of a 1CR123, out of a light that's, for tactical use. The dimensions of this light, the length is 3 3/4 inches from front to back, and the diameter is 1 inch around the head. Next, the input voltage of the head is 3 to 6 volts, and input volts of more than 6 volts may damage the light, and they put that on all their stuff, so that's pretty common for these little lights like that. I will tell you this, you can run this on 2 cells. That's why I have this one here. I wanted to show you that it can be run on 2 cells. 2 1CR123s. If you run on 2, remember if you run it on 1 1CR123, you get 450 lumens, and the rechargeable was 600 initial turn-ons. This one on 2 is 900 lumens on the initial turn-on. On 1, you get 375 out of primary and 550 lumens out of the rechargeable. This one is 750 lumens on 2CR123s. Then the initial drop down was 150 lumen on the last drop down on the single cells, and it's 180 on this. So even at 180, you still get a pretty usable amount of EDC light on that. And there's your first initial turn on. You can see that's really, really bright. And it'll step down here in just a second, and you should see it step down right there. And that dropped down to 180 lumens, and it'll stay 180 lumens until it quits running. I did not test the run time on the 2CR123s because this is how the light will come. And if you want to run it like this, you have to buy a separate body and stuff, unless you have another body. But I did just test the run time on how the light will come when you buy it. But that is a lot of lumens. 900 lumens is a lot of lumens if you want to run 2 cells. And I did run 2 cells and play with it some and play around with it. It run flawlessly on 2 cells. As you can see, this is the second head that I got just for testing, and I did not beat this one up. This is the one that I beat up that was on the light. And when I beat this light up, it's exactly the way you see it right now. The light will flicker when it drains. When the battery starts draining, it'll flicker, or it won't shift modes. So that's when you'll know that that you need to change the battery or charge the battery. If you turn it on and you don't see that initial drop or something like that, you'll know your battery's starting to drain and it's time to change the battery. So let's get into the review of this light. I mean, that was some specs on it. Now let's get into the full review. This is for tactical use only. Like I said before, it does have an EDC roll though, especially once you get past that initial 10-second to that drop. This stacked donut, like I said, just locks into your hand. I mean, it really, really does lock into your hand. I can't speak about that enough. And the way this little ring is right here, it actually fits right in between your pinky finger, and it just helps lock it in. Now, I did tell you there a minute ago that if you don't want to run this ring, it does come off, so you can run it without it. But I will tell you this, if you start to put this on, look at it closely. One side is cut deeper than the other side, and the deeper cut goes back towards the body. If you put it on the other way and tighten this down, I'm not sure if you'll get a good seal, but you will be able to tell it because this will try to twist on you. I did that the first time and got to looking at it, and I was like, oh, I see what's wrong with it now, and turned it around. But there is a direction to this bezel ring, and the deep cut part goes back towards the body. I'm gonna go ahead and swap it out to the rechargeable, but as you can see here, no issues at all. You wanna run it without that ring. It has no problem. And there's what it looks like. Looks like a normal type of MDC with a really nice texture on it. I did run it like this a lot of the time. I do like the ring, but I kind of preferred it without it, but that's to your discretion. If you like the ring, you can leave it on, and if you don't like the ring, you can take it off. I just preferred it without it. Took up a little extra space in my pocket, and I run this in the pocket with my phone that I'm using to record this video. So when I stick my hand in my pocket, it had a little extra space in there, so I just took it off and run it without it. And like I said, with that texture, there was no issues at all. So let's get into some of the stuff I told you about earlier. I did throw this light and some water in a bowl. It's a clear bowl. Left it in there for 5 straight minutes with it running, had the camera on it. No problems at all. Picked it up, splashed it off, wiped it off, opened it up. It was completely dry inside. No water got in this light at all during that test. I was outside. I was holding it as high as I could. Now, I'm 6'3", and I can reach an 8-foot ceiling. So I was at least 8 foot in the air, and I was dropping it on the concrete, and I did that several times. I don't know, maybe 6, 8 times. It run flawlessly. No problems at all. Just took a licking and kept on ticking. Then I also threw it across the concrete. I didn't get video of this, but you can see right here with the dents and stuff in it. I didn't get those dents from just normal driveway because it's smooth. I got these from throwing it out into the driveway where it's got the rough texture on it, the rough concrete, and that's when I got those dents. And it took that no problem at all. Just kept on running, just kept on ticking. No issues. It fully still functions, still steps down, all the modes work. So it didn't affect anything with this light. So like I said, today I was cleaning my truck. It took me about 5 or 6 hours. And the whole time I was thinking, I thought about this the other day, but the whole time I was cleaning my truck, really all I could think about was throwing this light off the top of my house. I don't know why. I just wanted to test it. I just thought, well, just took everything else I threw at it. Let's see what happens when I throw it off 25 feet. So I took it up there. I pointed the camera up. You know, I talked on the camera a second, and I pointed it up. I'll probably put this entire video at the end because this is really incredible to me that the light survived this. Not that I was trying to break the light. If I didn't think the light would have handled it, I don't know if I would have done it, but I had enough confidence in this light and my testing so far that I knew we wouldn't have no issues passing this. So I took it up to the top of the house, pointed the camera up. You can see me up there. I'm like, God, I hope I don't fall off the house. And then I tossed it. I didn't just hold it out. I tossed it. It was probably like 26 or 27 foot. It was on the whole time, and it hit the ground. As soon as it hit the ground, I could see it from the roof, and I could see it was still on. So I had to go back across the roof, climb back down the ladder, and go around and pick it up. And as soon as I picked it up, I showed it to the camera that it was still running. I showed that the momentary worked. I showed that the constant worked. I showed that everything worked on this flashlight. And it's still running flawlessly. Still after 26 foot, 27 foot, I didn't, when I tossed it, it kind of went up a little bit, so I don't know exactly, but it was between 26 and 27 feet and fell to the ground and hit hard. It bounced a couple times when it hit the ground, flipped. It hit hard, and it still took it. This is one of the, toughest little flashlights I've ever had. I do show some beam patterns up on the tree. I was outside at night and I was throwing it in the air. I will tell you this, I threw it about 15 foot in the air and it come down and landed on the tail cap, and it did shut off one time. And I thought, uh-oh, and I picked it up, it come right back on. Now I want to show you something. I've never seen this in any flashlight ever. Here's the inside of the head. This ain't what I was going to show you, but I'll just show you how the head construction is. and it's the same way on the other one. They're the same identical heads. I hope you can see this. Yeah, you can. There's an O-ring down in the bottom of that, a huge O-ring. And why Malkoff put that in there was so when it took a blunt force, impact like that, and the battery slammed, it wouldn't slam into the tail cap switch and damage anything. It slams in and hits that big O-ring down in the bottom of that, and it works as like a shock absorber. So when it hits that and works as a shock absorber. It also, in returns, helps stop what happened to me one time. It only happened one time. I dropped it on tail cap a lot just to see if I could get it to redo it. And if I hadn't threw it 15 feet in the air or more, it probably wouldn't have done it that time. That's just me being stupid and just over testing the light. But that's the only time it ever happened. But it's supposed to help and aid not being able to cut off when it hits the tail cap. And I believe it does that because I did drop it from like 8 feet several times on the tail cap, and it never shut off one time. The only time it did it was when I threw it up, like I said, 15 feet. And that just happened to be in the dark, and then I had to go find the light. I'm really amazed they put that in there because I've never seen that before. I do like the way the tail cap protrudes on this light. It makes it really easy. Oh, while we're here, I want to go ahead and show you it is O-ring sealed. Of course it would be because I submerged it in water, but it is O-ring sealed, and that does definitely work. So it does really aid in being able to get to that tail cap. I mean, you can do it no problem at all. The clip works very well. It's very secure. I put this in my pocket, and it really held it in my pocket. It never moved around much or anything like that. So you can hear it. It's tight, and I really like how the bend is here. It's not too much. It's just about right. Some lights will really bend that clip out, and you can rub it up against your truck or against something else when it sticks out too far. Malkoff, this is the traditional clip that they have, and they got that right on this. I really like the clip on this light as well. So, I appreciate Malkoff for sending this light for testing. I was one of the first people to get this light. And I hope that I did all the testing that he wanted me to. I don't know how much more testing you could do to this little light. I mean, literally, I threw it 27 foot off top of my house and let it hit the ground. You don't see that a lot. You don't see a lot of people. I mean, you see people do other X brand flashlight testing. They'll throw it on some concrete, or they'll throw it in the grass, or they'll throw it here. But you don't see them throw it 27 feet off the top of a house. I've never seen a video like that. I'm not going to say there's not any out there. I'm sure there's videos out there like that, but I've never seen it. And this light held up well. In my opinion, if you're looking for a very rugged tactical flashlight made in the USA, this is the one you should go with. And I'm not just saying that because they sent it to me. If I didn't like this light, I would have either told you I didn't like this light, or I would have just not reviewed it. Gene told me if I had any issues with this light to contact him first and then make the video, and he could either tell me why he did it that way or fix the problem I had with it. Now, and then he said I could say whatever I wanted to. I was not obligated to give this light a good review because he sent it to me, and he told me that. He said, I only give it a good review if you like it. He just wanted me to contact him first if I had any issues. You know how many times I contacted him over issues with this light? None. I did contact him on runtime, and I did contact him because one of my subscribers bought one of these and liked it so well that they left a comment. No, he texted me. He texted me and told me to please tell Gene on how much he liked this light. And that's the only times I contacted Gene Malkoff about this light. It's run flawlessly. So that's my review of this flashlight. 2 thumbs up, very rugged, very tough. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Go help out an American-made company, buy a really tough light, linked in the bottom of the description. We'll see you next time. Okay, as you can see, you can't see nothing. When I turn this on, you can see a lot. This little thing right here is 600 lumens. Then it drops down to 500 lumens, and then it drops down to 150 lumens, and that's what you just seen right there. If you tap the tail cap again, it comes right back to that 550 lumens, that, initial 600, then to 550, and then after 10 seconds, it'll drop back down just like it did right there. You tap that tail cap again, it comes right back. So you can see here, we'll kind of shine it through the field. you can see how it lights up. It does a very good job, and then it drops down. And what that is for is, let's say that this tree is an assailant. I can hit that assailant with 600 initial, 500 off the bat. I can decide whether or not that I need to pursue some other kind of deadly encounter. I mean, if he has a firearm or something, I've just initially blinded him right there. And then if I need to take deadly force, I can. I have plenty enough time. I've been here talking right now for 10 seconds, and I could have easily decided what I want to do. If it's a non-shoot situation, then I still have enough light right here. You can easily make that out that I can control him and see what he's doing, and it's also preserving the battery in this flashlight. So let's do a little bit of a throwing. So I'm gonna turn it back on high just for initial, and then yeah, no problems on that one. That was no problem. That was probably, I'm 6'3", and I actually threw that over my head. So as you can see here, there's no issues. Let's do it again. Yeah, that was more like 12 feet. And I am just throwing it into the yard. You won't always be on concrete when you throw your flashlight. So, you probably are not going to throw your flashlight anyway, but we're just kind of testing this, and so let's just throw it out there. Yeah, no issues. Handled that perfectly. Flashlight's working flawlessly. No issues at all. Momentary still works. Constant on still works. No issues at all. So that's a pass in my book. We may do this on some harder surface, but I just sitting out here in the back tonight and thought, well, let's just do a test on the flashlight. So you've seen right there, you can throw this light 12, 15 feet in the air, no issues at all. On to the next test. We'll do some more testing of this light. I'm 6'3". This is probably about 5 foot in the air. It's a little off camera, but to see the ground where it hits, you can see it is turned on. To see where it hits, I got to go a little bit above the camera. Nothing. Let's drop it on his head. Nothing. Drop it on the tail cap. Nothing. Drop it a little higher. I'm about 7 feet now. Still running like a champ. On its head, I'm about 7.5 feet. This thing's taking a beating. On its tail cap, from 7.5 feet. Land right on its head. Nothing. As you can see here, no issues at all. Nothing. Finish took just a little bit of a wear, but hey, that came out pretty good overall. Very, very little finish wear at all. I don't know if you can even see it, just a little bit on the edges. But it is aluminum, and we are dropping it on concrete, so it is what it is. Car coming in over there. It is what it is, but aluminum will dent if it hits something harder, and it did. So that's to be expected. But the finish held up really, really well. Let's do it some more. As you can see, it's on. It's holding up very, very well. No issues. Nothing. This thing is made like a tank. It's made to take shock. Anything you want to put it through. It does have a lifetime warranty. As you can see there, it is very bright. So let's do it some more. I mean, we're testing this thing out. Gene sent it to be tested, and I think he builds a great light, and I don't think we'll have any issues. We're going to drop it a couple more times, and I'm dropping it higher than probably what it should be dropped. I mean, most people's going to hold it like right here, or they're going to be carrying it, just drop it by accident, and 3 or 4 feet. I'm dropping it like 7 feet. So you can see it's on. Hold it up as high as I can get it. That's almost 8 feet. Nothing. We're going to do it a couple more times and then call it a day. Thing took a big drop. Still running like a champ. One more time. High as I can get it. You can see, still running like a champ. No issues, no nothing. Doesn't even flicker, nothing. This thing's built like a tank. As you can see, it's still running strong. You can see it is in the water. See if I can get it right there. You can see the water's in there. It's in the water. All right, now we're going to dry this off so we can open it, and then we're going to see what the inside looks like. I cut it off. See if it got wet on the inside or anything. Don't see anything inside the lens. Looks dry. I suspect there will be nothing inside this. This is quickly becoming my favorite flashlight. As you can see, I actually threw it on the harder concrete yesterday several times, and it's still running like a champ. No issues at all. I think I could throw this off the top of the house and it would work. All right, let's make sure there ain't nothing to get inside it. I just want to make sure there ain't no residue on it that's just going to drip down inside it and make it look like there's water in it. Okay, here we go. Let's see what we got. Completely dry. That battery's completely dry. Everything in there is completely dry. Not a drop of nothing anywhere. You see it still works. Hey everybody, so I spent the last 5 hours cleaning my truck, and all I could think about was this flashlight, the Malkoff Bodyguard. So I talked to Gene the other day, and he said you'd have a hard time breaking that light. And you know what? I kind of believe him on that because I have beat this thing up. You can see right here. I don't know if it's showing up good, but there are places where I've just threw this light across the carport on the rough concrete. I've held it like 8-9 feet and dropped it on concrete. Nothing. Still runs like a champ, as you can see right there. So I thought, well, you know, anybody can drop a light on concrete. We see that all the time. We see it all over videos. Everybody does it. They drop it. I put this thing in water for 5 minutes and submerged it. It's still running, no problems at all. My house is 22 feet off the ground. I'm gonna hold it out like this, which will be 25 feet or so off the ground. And I'm gonna drop it 25 feet. You see a lot of people dropping flashlights 6, 8, 10 feet. How many people you see dropping 25 feet? I have faith that this flashlight's gonna hold up, but if it don't, we'll find out together. I gotta go around the other side of the house and climb the ladder and get up on top, and then I'm gonna drop this flashlight, and it's gonna take me a minute to climb back down, go across the roof, climb back down, go over here, and I'm gonna leave it on the whole time. I'm gonna pick it up and show if it's running. Now you can tell that this is the flashlight I'm gonna use because it's got the dents in it and stuff right here where I've dropped it. It does have a few little scuff marks on it, a few scuff marks in the rear right here. So you'll be able to tell this is what I'm gonna drop. And I don't have any more stuff on me. I mean, this is it. I don't even have a set of keys on me. This is all I got on my pockets and everything. So I'm gonna take this up there and I'm gonna drop it. See what happens. 25 feet. Built like a tank. Okay, I'm just hoping I don't fall off this. You can see it's on. We're at 25 feet and it's gone. I can tell you, I can see right now, it is still on. 25 feet. Works like a charm. No issues at all. Momentary works, constant works, everything works. 25 feet, I just dropped this light. It has dirt on it where it hit the ground. Smudges, grass, big chunk right here. It hit hard. I just slung it. It was probably more than 25 feet because I just kind of tossed it. If I hold it straight out, it'd be about 25 feet, 26 feet, but I actually tossed it. So it's probably more like 27 or 28 feet if I was guessing. Built like a tank. My favorite light I've ever had in my hand. You can feel the quality in this light, and I'm not just saying that, you really can. Malkoff Bodyguard, made in the USA. Thank y'all for watching this, I appreciate it. See you next time.